Welcome back to another episode of SmoothBrainEDH, where we make the smoothest plays with the biggest brains. This week, we're showcasing some of our new favorite commanders from Final Fantasy, so let's see what our players brought to the table. First up is Jason on Sin Spirit's Judgment. This Sultai deck uses Sin to create token copies of permanents from his graveyard, namely Planeswalkers, cheating on mana costs, and doing some token doubling shenanigans. Next up is Ethan on Vivi Ornitier. This Izzet deck is a Spellslinger deck, using Vivi to ping opponents and generate mana. Throw on a Curiosity, and every non-creature spell draws 3 cards. This commander does it all. Third is Tanner on Choco, Seeker of Paradise. This Bant deck is all about birds and landfall. Hoping to go wide with a flock of birds, so using Choco to generate card advantage and ramp when it attacks with an avian army. Last is Sam on Y'shtola, Knights Blessed. This Esper deck focuses on controlling the board with various powerful non-creature spells, using Y'shtola to drain out the table and draw some cards. We're about to hop right into the game. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Last week, we launched our YouTube memberships, so please consider joining if you'd like to further support the channel. We have links to our social media pages, our free public Discord server, and the deck list in the description. We're partnered with Dragon Shield. Check out our affiliate link in the description if you're looking to pick up any sleeves, deck boxes, or playmats, and use code SMOOTH5 at checkout for 5% off your order. Now, on to the gameplay.
Looks like Sam wins the die roll. He'll start off with a tapped Watery Grave, and he'll pass to Jason. Jason gets a Lucky Forest top deck, he's able to play it and Utopia Sprawl it, then pass to Ethan. And chosen color is black. Ethan starts off with Spire Bluff Canal, and then he'll opt. Scry goes to the bottom, he'll draw a card, and then the turn is passed to Tanner. Tan Man plays Branchloft Pathway, which he uses to cast Exploration. With that out, he'll then play an Unclaimed Territory on Bird, then pass to Sam. Sam plays Sea of Clouds, and then he'll cast a Talisman of Hierarchy and pass to Jason. Jason will play Exotic Orchard, then tap for 3 and cast Ashiok Dream Render. After that resolves, he'll minus it, targeting himself. He should mill 4, but he accidentally mills 5. Jason, read your card. Oh, it's in Japanese. Okay, I could have made that mistake too, but still, it's good to know your cards. Regardless, what he mills is Doubling Season, Jace Memory Adept, Kodama's Reach, Polluted Delta, and Scoot Swarm. Also, opponents' graveyards are exiled, just the opt, and then the turn is passed to Ethan, and he'll start off with his basic island, then he'll cast his Talisman of Creativity, and then pass the turn to Tanner. He'll start off with an island, and then a starting town. And this lets him tap for 4 and cast his commander, Choco. And then the turn is passed to Sam. He'll start off with a Morphic Pool, and then just cast his commander, Y'shtola. The turn is then passed to Jason, and he'll start off with an Honor-Worn Shaku. He'll then play Dreamroot Cascade, and then with the help of Ashiok, float 2 colorless mana, and then cast Nature's Lore. This will get an untapped Overgrown Tomb, and he's still got 1 colorless floating, so he'll use that, and then tap the Overgrown Tomb for a black to cast Ripples of Undeath. Jason will then pass the turn to Ethan, who will play a Mountain, and then he'll tap for 4 to cast Archmage Emeritus. Then the turn is passed to Tanner, and he will immediately tap for 3 and cast Scoot Swarm. And after it resolves, he'll follow it up with Jador, Aristocratic Capital, as land for turn. Landfall triggers. Choco gets +1/+0, and Scoot Swarm makes a 1/1 insect. Tanner will then move to combat and swing for 4 commander over at Ethan. Attack trigger, Tanner will look at 1 card from the top of his library because there's 1 bird attacking, and it'll go to his hand. Ethan won't block, then in second main, Tanner will play Scattered Groves as his second land drop. Landfall triggers, Choco grows more, and that's his 6th land, so he'll get a copy of Scoot Swarm. Tanner will then pass the turn, but on end step, Y'shtola will trigger. Ethan lost 4 life this turn, so Sam draws a card. Then we'll move to his turn, where he'll play a Snow Island, and then cast Talisman of Dominance. He'll then tap for 3 and cast Black Market Connections, which will trigger his commander. Each of his opponents will lose 2, and he'll gain 2. Sam then moves to combat, and he considers swinging at Ashiok since that's an open Planeswalker, but he decides to hit Jason for 2 instead, because that'll draw him a card on end step. So that's what he does, and then he'll pass the turn. On Jason's pre-combat main phase, Ripples will mill Otawara, Spark Double, and Parallel Lives. He does not pay 1 to keep any of them. He'll then play a Foreboding Landscape and fetch for a Snow Island off of it. And then he's able to do a Sin. Naughty boy. ETB trigger. Jason rolls a D8 and it hits Foreboding Landscape. He exiles it and makes a tapped copy of it, and it is a land. So he repeats the process and this time hits Scoot Swarm. That's terrifying, and yeah, it's supposed to be tapped, but I don't think he'd be blocking with his 1 Scoot Swarm yet anyway, so. The turn is passed to Ethan. He'll start off with a Riverglide Pathway as land for turn. Then he'll cast Veyran. That's also terrifying. Oh my goodness, 2 Scoot Swarms and a Veyran. Anyways, the turn is then passed to Tanner. Lucky for the rest of the table, he doesn't have any more land drops, but he will tap for 6 and cast the Goose Mother, X's 4. So she'll enter with 4 counters and he'll make 2 foods. After this, we'll move to combat, and Choco goes over at Sam. There's an attack trigger. He essentially draws a card. Sam will take the 3 commander, and then the turn is passed to Sam. On his first main phase, he'll pay 4 life to Black Market Connections to make a treasure and a 3/1 shapeshifter. He'll then play an Underground Sea as land for turn, and then he'll cast Quantum Misalignment, targeting Y'shtola. There is a Y'shtola trigger that drains everyone for 2, and then Ethan decides that a potential 3 Y'shtolas is a bit too much and will hurt everyone, so he Offer You Can't Refuses it. Poor Sam, that's one of his favorite cards. Anyways, Ethan will draw 2 cards off of Archmage and Veyron, and then Sam gets 2 treasure tokens. Sam will then pass the turn, and then on his end step, he lost 4 life, so he'll draw a card off his commander. Alright, then in Jason's upkeep, Sam decides to go ahead and fire off Anguished Unmaking, targeting Jason's Scoot Swarm. And this also triggers Sam's commander, so he'll net lose 1 and his opponents will lose 2. Alright, now in first main phase, Jason will mill Fang, Vronos, and Taval from Ripples of Undeath, and he'll pay the mana and 3 life to get Fang to his hand. He'll then cast the Fang, and then downtick Ashiok, targeting himself. This hits Lightning Greaves, Mirror Box, Kiora Behemoth Beckoner, and Open the Way. And opponents' graveyards are exiled. Jason then moves to combat, and Sin flies over at Sam. Attack trigger will exile and copy Jace, Memory Adept, and then Sam takes 7 commander. Oh yeah, Jason will also draw 1 and lose 1 off Fang. Then he'll uptick Jace to draw a card and mill a command tower. After this, he'll cast Spelunking. When it ETBs, he'll draw a card and put in Field of the Dead. That's his 7th unique land, so he gets a 2/2 zombie. Then he'll play Xenarkand as his actual land drop and get a 2nd zombie. Then he'll fetch another basic off Foreboding Ruin to get a 3rd zombie. And then after this, Jason will cast Vanille. On ETB, he'll mill Renin 7 and Displacer Kitten, and then he'll return Doubling Season to his hand. Jason will then pass the turn, and Sam lost more than 4 life this turn, so he'll draw a card. Alright, let's move to Ethan's turn now, where he'll say, I don't have enough cards. Here is an Archmage of Runes. He'll then play a Starting Town, and it is past the turn requirement, so it enters tapped. Then he'll look pretty and pass. Alright, now on Tanner's turn, he'll cast a Radiant Destiny, naming Birds. Then he'll cast an Urza's Incubator, also naming Birds. Tanner will then move to combat, and he'll swing Choco over at Ethan and the Goose Mother at Jason. Attack triggers. He'll sacrifice a food and draw a card, and then Choco lets him look at the top 2 cards of his library. He'll put 1 to his hand and a Soul Ring to the graveyard. On to blocks, Jason can't, and then Ethan will block the 4/6 with his 3/6, so they bounce. Tanner will then pass the turn, and Jason lost 7 life, so Sam draws a card on end step. Then we'll move to his turn. He'll pay 2 life to Black Market Connections to get an extra card, and then he'll play a basic Plains as land for turn. After this, he'll tap for 5 and cast Painful Quandary. His commander will trigger, so each of his opponents will lose 2 and he'll gain 2, and then Sam will pass the turn to Jason. On his first main phase, Jason has 2 triggers. Ripples will mill Misty Rainforest, Birds of Paradise, and Underground Mortuary. Then, with the help of Honor-Worn Shaku, he'll pay 5 mana into Vanille to Meld Ragnarok. Yeah, we don't actually have any Final Fantasy cards yet, so this'll just have to do. Thanks, Sam. Anyways, after the big boy has been melded, Jason will uptick Jace to draw a card and mill Nissa Vital Force. He'll then cast a Doubling Season, and there's a Painful Quandjuice trigger, and he'll discard an Amulet of Vigor. After this, Jason will move to combat, and Sin will go back at Sam, gotta stack that command damage, and Ragnarok goes over at Tanner. Sin has an attack trigger, and Jason randomly gets Birds of Paradise, and because of Doubling Season, he gets 2. Moving to blocks, Tanner puts a 1/1 underneath Ragnarok to negate 1 damage. Then, before damage, Sam will cast Fell the Profane on Sin. He used a Talisman for black, so he'll take 1, and there's also a Y'shtola trigger, so everyone is drained for 2. Then Sin is destroyed, so Sam won't take anything in combat, and Tanner will take 6. Then post-combat, Jason will play a Fabled Passage and fetch for a Forest. This will net him 4 zombies. And then he'll cast Tevish Zot, the Doom of Fools, discarding Garruk, Apex Predator to Painful Quandary. He'll enter with 8 counters, and Jason will uptick him, sacrificing a zombie to draw 2 cards. And yes, Tevesh only gets 1 counter from an uptick. Friendly Doubling Season rules reminder: a Planeswalker's activated ability is putting counters on as a cost. Doubling Season says when an effect would put counters on. There is a big difference between the two, so Doubling Season does not double counters when activating Planeswalker abilities. But when a Planeswalker enters, it getting its counters is an effect, so those are doubled. TLDR, trust me, bro. I know what I'm talking about. I'm a local Atraxa player. Anyways, the turn is passed to Ethan. Sam draws on end step, and Ethan plays a mountain. And he's got nothing to do, and he's really wanting to fill up his hand, so he's going to overload a Mizzix Mastery with an empty graveyard. There is a Painful Quandary trigger, and he'll discard Firebrand Archer, and then his 2 Archmages and Veyron will cause him to draw 4 cards. I find it funny that he has to overload the Mizzix Mastery because he's got nothing in his graveyard to target. So, yeah, he'll just pass the turn to Tanner now. Who finally finds a land drop? It's a Command Tower. Landfall triggers. Choco gets +1, and there's more Scoot Swarms. Then Tanner will cast a Bower's Passage, interesting, and he'll discard Ledger Shredder to Painful Quandary. He'll then cast Beastmaster Ascension, and he'll discard, Ranger Augerelt. I butchered that, to Painful Quandary. And then he'll move to the combat step. There's a big old Ragnarok over on Jason's board, so Goose Mother is going at Sam, and Choco is going over at Ethan. There are some attack triggers. Beastmaster Ascension will get 2 counters, Goose Mother will sacrifice a food and he'll draw a card, and then Choco gets to look too deep. It's a Temple Garden and Ishgard, so they'll both go to the battlefield tapped, and there's more landfall triggers. More Scoot Swarms and a bigger Choco. Sam and Ethan both won't block, so Ethan takes 6 and Sam will take 7. Then post-combat, Tanner drew a Swords, so he's going to Swords to Plowshares Ragnarok. On casting it, he'll discard Sinu, and then Jason will gain 7 life. Then the turn is passed to Sam. His commander draws him a card on end step, and then in his first main phase, Black Market Connections will trigger, and he'll pay 3 life to draw a card and make a treasure. He'll then play a Snow-Covered Island, and then he'll cast Quasar. He'll then cast Transpose, Y'shtola trigger. So he'll draw, discard a land, lose a life, and then make a little wizard guy. Quasar will also trigger, and Jason loses a life. Sam will then pass and miss a Y'shtola trigger. Pre-combat, Ripples will mill Wild Growth, a land, and Bugenhagen. Jace is then uptick, so he'll draw a card, and then he mills Grist. Then Tevesh is +1 again to sacrifice a zombie and draw 2 more cards. Jason will then cast AC. And a Snowforce is discarded to Painful Quandary. Alright, he's got 2 land drops now. He'll play a Verdant Catacombs and use it to fetch for another Snow Forest, and then he'll play an Interplanar Beacon. This will net him 6 zombies and 3 cards. He'll then recast Sin. On ETB, Nissa Vital Force is returned to the battlefield as a tapped token. There is technically a second one, but legend rule. Now he could immediately get an emblem off of her, but he's already used his land drops this turn, so he decides to downtick her and regrowth Spark Double. And of course Jason will cast it, and he'll get a Sin Double. This time, Sin will exile a Polluta Delta, an Otawara, and a Mirror Box, and he gets 2 copies of each. I do believe Otawara does get affected by Legend Rule because it hits the field before Mirror Box, but there will be a ton of Field of the Dead triggers and a ton of AC triggers put on the stack regardless. And since those lands enter untapped thanks to Spelunking, Jason will respond to the AC draws by fetching with both Deltas to get a Hedge Maze and a Watery Grave. Surveil will put Taval's Judgment into the graveyard, then all those draws and all those zombies will resolve. And still somehow after all this, Jason will pass with mana up. Alright, let's move to Ethan's turn now. He'll start off with a Prismatic Vista, and he'll crack it for an island. He'll then cast a Harmonic Prodigy, and since he casts that, he'll discard Triple Triad. Now he'll finally cast Vivi, and that's usually a bad sign. And he'll discard Gearson Starn to Painful Quandaries. Oh, great. He'll follow this up with a Curiosity. Vivi will get 2 1/1 counters, and Ethan will take 5 to Painful Quandaries. Oh yeah, and everyone takes 2. After this, Ethan will pay 2 life to cast Gitaxian Probe. Holy crap triggers. The first thing to resolve is Painful Quandaries. He'll discard Fire Magic. Then, with all other triggers on the stack, Jason has a polite conversation with Tanner. He asks him to not brutally murder him on his next turn, and he'll deal with Curiosity, and Tanner says, yeah, sure. So Jason will channel Beseiju to blow up Curiosity. And Ethan gets a basic mountain to the field. Then, all the other triggers will resolve. There's 3 Vivi ones, so Vivi grows by 3, and each of Ethan's opponents will take 3, and then Ethan will draw 6 cards between his 2 Archmages. Jason was the target of the Get Probe, so he'll show Ethan his hand, and then Ethan will draw 1 more card. After this, he will Monkey Spark Double Sin. Triggers will go on the stack. There are 3 Vivi triggers and 6 more card draw triggers, and he'll discard a land. Then he'll free cast a Lotus Petal, 2 Vivi triggers, and he'll discard another land. Then he'll cast Crackle with Power, X is 0, more triggers, and he discards another land. He'll then cast Snap, targeting Y'shtola, triggers. And Sam will respond by casting Gentleman Rise. It's a mana value 3 spell, so each of his opponents will take 2, and he'll gain 2. He also makes a zombie. Then Ethan's triggers resolve. After all that happens, Ethan will then just drop Chandra's Ignition, targeting Vivi. Yeah, after triggers resolve, A, Jason is dead, and B, that is 19 damage dealt to everybody. Yeah, Ethan also shows off the Arcane Denial that he can protect it with, so that is game. Ethi and Vivi win. Alright, there you have it everybody, another exciting game with more Final Fantasy commanders. What an explosive ending from Vivi Orniter. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let us know what you thought down in the comments below too. We just launched our YouTube membership, so join if you want exclusive access to early videos, badges, and emotes. But that's enough out of me for today, you all. I hope you all have a smooth day.